Well, that's a neat segue into this other question, because you're obviously one of the greatest recruiters of all times, and I mean that seriously, from the aspect, I've traveled the trade show circuit. I can tell you, whenever I see that you're on the speaking list, I always know that the turnout is going to be huge, and in our numbers, actually, you bring our numbers up because you're speaking at a conference that we happen to be attending, selling our goods. So I certainly appreciate the contribution there. But how did you get into training? So you're rocking along as a recruiter, and then one day you said, I want to be a trainer. How was that transition?
No. So there's, believe me, I wrote, as you said, I wrote a book 2 years ago called Aging Disgracefully, which is a personal memoir about the role shame has played in my life, and I think plays a role in anybody who was raised poor, because then you're trying to prove yourself for the rest of your life. So I certainly know a lot about shame, but the answer to your question is one of the real sources of pride in my life, because I had no intention of being a trainer. I didn't even know what trainers were. I remember going to a couple of the early trainer sessions, and I won't mention their names, but I thought they were, kind of hucksters. I mean, lots of obvious sales gimmickry, and I was just kind of turned off by it. But the truth was that we were running, the previous owner who I bought the company from, we were running a boiler room. We were hiring 5 bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people a month and firing 4 of them. And he was dragging me in because I was doing well. And he would say, Danny's 24 years old. He made $250,000 last year. You could be just like him. And I was okay with that the first year. But by the second year, I was like, I will not be used this way. Nobody makes it here. We have 100% turnover. And at 24 years old, I volunteered. I said to the owner, let me just take over the training. You hire these people, but let me train them. And he said, well, what do you know about training? I said, I don't know anything about training, but how much worse can I be than you? You have 100% turnover. So he was like, good point. And, my earliest training, as some people on this call will remember, I had no pretense that I was a speaker. I had this sort of aversion of being considered a speaker. So, and maybe you were at them, Wilson, but I used to just have the hotels bring live phones on stage, and this is pre-internet, and I would say, who's got a company that they can't get inside? And somebody would raise their hand, and I would call information, ask for the name or the number of that company. I'd call that company live in front of a bunch of people and make a cold business development call or a cold recruiting call. And that was my early training.
Wow.
Watch what I do. And I had no idea that I thought people would say, what kind of a speaker is this? He doesn't even have any material. Instead, people were like, wow, this kid's got guts. Yeah, then after that, it becomes extremely, superficial, vain. I got a rush from being up in front of an audience. I thought it was fun. I was newly single at that time, so I thought it was a great way to go around the country and meet people. And that's when I realized, at some point I probably should turn this into a business and actually write down the things that I say on the phone. The training, I think it's fair to say, came really from a place of idealism. I just couldn't stand, and I can't to this day, stand to hear recruiters suck. It really just comes down to that, Wilson. I've certainly made a lot more money as a recruiter than I've ever made as a speaker, and I've made more money as a speaker than anyone. But the real motivation was not monetary. It was just, this business is great if you're good at it. It's miserable if you're bad at it. So let me help you be good at it, is really what it was coming from.